Thought I had some more time. Excuse me. So, this question comes up a lot. And I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are, what your experience is, what your perspective is on the situation. And it is, you are responsible for your wife's happiness or you are not. So just think about that for a little bit. And have you ever asked yourself that question? Because this is something, again, that's always comes out there. And I want to give my perspective on it. I want to give my take on this. And to jump right into the short answer of, am I responsible for my wife's happiness? Short answer is no. Neither are you. Well, not for my wife's happiness, but your wife or your girlfriend's happiness. Every single person is responsible for their own happiness. Every single person is responsible for their own moods, their own outlook on life, everything. That's every single person's responsibility, right? So now let's move that aside and let's go into what it means to be responsible for your wife's happiness, and as your role, and as it pertains to your role as a man. As it pertains to your role as a man who is operating with an elite man mindset, with the mentality as it pertains to your relationship. So I'm going to go there, and this is where we can take, some responsibility for that, and actually in a good way, but not in a way where it's on us, right? So I want to give two examples, two stories on how this can show up. Before I do, I just want to put a little emphasis as to why is it so important to take that step to be responsible, and why it is, to have that mentality, that outlook in your relationship is so important. Because at the end of the day, we know how it works, right? If we try to separate our relationship, our romantic life from everything else, and pretend that doesn't affect how we perform at work, on the job, how we relate to our friends, how we feel about ourselves, our confidence, how we feel about, enjoying having hobbies, doing adventurous things. If we try to pretend that the state of our relationship does not affect those other things, you're lying to yourself, and you know it, okay? I am almost confident that I can say that with a high degree of certainty that you're lying to yourself. And I understand that because I've done that. I've been there and done that. I've tried to block this off. I've tried to silo this off, put this off to the side, and pretend as if that's not going to affect other parts of me, which really, I can perform on the job. I can still get work done, but behind the scenes, it's still playing out a different kind of energy. And so we also know what can happen when we try to do that. When we try to cut this off, ignore the relationship side of things, try to ignore the energy that we're receiving from our partners, whether it's a bit of worry or concern or anxiety, wherever that may be, it's playing behind the scenes. It will affect me for sure of how I perform, because maybe if I'm now at the office, I'm not as focused. And we know when we try to put this away, what can happen? We get distracted. We come home and we might put some distance between us and our partner. Or we may try to go through the motions of being nice, of avoiding confrontation, being passive aggressive. All right. And if this is you, you can put your hand up. I won't see you, but just take ownership of this. This is neither a good or a bad thing. This is no judgment. This is just identifying where it is we can step up and lean in to be that man. Because it's easy for us to pull all-nighters at work. It's easy for us to go into that problem-solving mode and not give up until we get the solution at work. Or, if we're training for something, or if we're exercising, we can put that energy, laser focus it on something, but somehow, I don't know about you. Again, I'm gonna be honest here, full transparency. Somehow, I wasn't able to put that into my relationships, my previous relationships, right? Because it's more complicated. Let's be honest here. I mean, work doesn't necessarily talk back to you. Work doesn't have an opinion about you. Work doesn't criticize you or critique you. Work doesn't have emotions, right? Like maybe our wives and our partners can have. And again, this is not neither good or bad. It's just when we feel like we're losing control, and it's not as a easy process, or it's not a direct process like maybe work may be, or training, or working out, or doing a project, because we follow steps and we, you do X, Y, Z. Guess we want to start with A, B, and C, X, Y, Z. It follows a path. Relationships and our wives, our queens, that's a different kind of whole animal there. And so when we try to avoid that, we can put distance. We can start spending more time at the office because it's just easier to stay there and isolate ourselves. Being a passive aggressive. It can lead into being flirtatious with other women, which that's a whole other slippery slope with having affairs, whether it's at the job, whether it's looking at social media applications to get that fix, or if it's coming home and you find yourself as a yes man, everything your wife says, you just go with it. Yes, 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 yes. Now, where does it come in to you taking responsibility for her happiness? Now, again, I'm going to tell you two stories. First story I want to give for my example. Okay. Now, we're now 2020. So about 5 years ago, when I opened my first business here, I opened a stationery shop, a printing shop, an office supply store, right? It's my first business. I never, had any kind of experience like that and never had any kind of experience in this particular business. So I had a lot of pressure myself to build this from the ground up, trying to learn the business, learn the marketing, learn the area, get the supplies, spend lots of money, make these investments. And it was a lot of pressure on me, all right? Now, because I was so focused, so immersed in getting this business off the ground, and learning everything I could and putting crazy late hours in and early mornings, just sleeping, the bare minimum necessary. What do you think my energy was like with my wife? If you can't guess it, it was very low. It was very distant because I almost created this energy that I didn't have time to have the relationship because you know what? This is what I have to do. It's the sacrifice. You understand, right? Baby, you understand. You get it. I'm doing this for us. How many you guys have said that? I'm trying to make a living for you and the kids. I am trying to, create this empire for us. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't make that mistake. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is I don't know about your wife, but women in general, and my wife at the time, she is very supportive. She's so loving, so giving, so compassionate that she slowly began to sacrifice her hobbies, her interests for me. Now, this one, I'm going to pull this back in here and say, that's her responsibility. She has the choice and she had the sovereignty and the freedom to do or not do that, okay? However, wanting to support me, wanting to stand by my side, wanting to give me the space to create something, wanting to be there for me, not go out with her friends because she knew that I was going to be working late anyway, and she knew I was working. She didn't want to leave me there. Maybe she felt guilt for that. I'm not sure. There's a variety of reasons why she chose what she chose. In that process, we're talking about a year or more of doing that. I didn't recognize that then she started to have, spit out, Brian. Someone help me out here. Throw the word. I need to do a Pictionary here. She started to kind of lose some of the things that I found attractive to her in the very beginning. Now, why is that? It was easier for me in that moment to say, oh, well, you used to be this. You used to do that. You used to be so much more energetic. You used to be so much more happy and fun and loving and free going. Why can't you give that to me now? Well, you know why? Because me, the man of the household, I set the pace and I set the tone. So when she tried, and she tried many a times and failed, not because of a lack of effort, because I didn't allow her to fail. I didn't allow her to win. I pretty much set her up for failure. Is when she tried to pull me out of the shop. When she tried to say, hey, let's go to the beach. The beach is 5 minutes away. Let's walk down to the beach for a few hours. I said, no, I can't. The family's going to get together for a dinner, for a birthday party. What do you say? Let's go spend time with the family. I don't want to. I don't want to. You go without me. Most of the time she didn't. And if I did allow myself to go, do you know what I said? Okay, we're going for 2 hours, 3 hours max. We're going home. That was it. If she tried to come into the living room and dance around to create a different kind of energy while I'm on the laptop for hours and hours and hours, and I don't even look up because in my mind, I'm so focused there, I didn't want to give her my attention because I didn't want to be pulled away from something I was doing. So does she learn that or does she not learn that? Of course she learns. I sent all these messages to her. I'm the one who set the tone. I'm the one who rejected every advance to create a different kind of energy and to be happy. So she started to suppress parts of her to keep me focused. Right? Does that make sense? If you can relate to that, if you understand that, just share it in the comments. Just put, yep, I understand that. So yes, it's up to her and for me, the man that I want to be. Where can I look in the way I'm showing up in my marriage, in my relationship, with my business? Where can I create more space Where can I be more open? When can I have the discipline to pull myself away from work? Think about that. Normally we talk about the discipline to keep on pushing. How can I create the discipline to pull myself away from work and shower my marriage with the energy that it needs? Shower my wife with the love that she needs and deserves. Because how long can I really think? How long do I really think that I can keep her there on ice until when I get there, whenever this proverbial I arrive, whenever I get there, how long do I think I can keep her there unhappy, waiting for me to open up, waiting for me to put something into the relationship before she says I've had it? Or how long was I going to keep on making her the reason why the relationship wasn't where it needed to be? Because if you just don't understand. You don't know what it's like to have your own business, although she was there with me most of the time anyway. You don't know what it's like. I'm doing this for us. How many times you guys have lost yourself in that process for the sake of wanting to create something and completely neglect something else? And this is why I mean that we're responsible for that. This is not about what she needs to do or what she can do. It's not about necessarily the sacrifice. It's not about even having an understanding. She understood why I was doing it, and she admired it. She respected it. She got it. It clicked. It made sense. But it's up to me to be that husband, that man in that situation, in that relationship, to decide that it's a this and situation. It's not this or that. It's not I work hard to build something for us or neglect the relationship. It's I work hard to build something for us and I create space and opportunity. Maybe right now in this phase, we're not going to have as much time. Maybe in this phase, maybe I will be a bit edgier. Hopefully I'm working on that as well to understand how to cut off the work mode, the work mindset, and then move forward into the relationship. That's up to me. But if I'm going to think and convince myself for a moment, for even a second, that I'm not responsible for my wife shrinking herself, for giving up her hobbies, for not allowing her to be expressive and creative because I was not acknowledging her, to think that I don't play a role in that is selfish, is dangerous. It's irresponsible. And that's not what it means to have an elite man mentality, especially as it pertains to the domain of relationships, romantic relationships. Being that person, being that man, it's not when it's convenient. It's not when it's easy. That's actually why it kicks over. Having that elite man mentality is leaning into it when it's difficult. Because everything's easy when it's going on track. Everything's easy when it's planned. Everything's easy when there's no emotions involved. Everything is like an auto drive. But the real test of who we are is when things really don't go as planned. When something more is asked of us in a compromising situation, or when we feel we don't have enough to give. Right? Now, the second story I want to tell you, and this is actually, I'm really excited about this one from a client that I'm working with, is experiencing something similar. And the big win that he had that we recognized yesterday was, again, putting a lot of time into his business, building it up. Again, great. He's a provider for his wife and his kid. I respect that a lot. However, what he caught himself doing is separating, putting himself, his business on one side, putting his wife on the other side, his family on the other side, and not seeing the connection. So, given the challenge of recognizing his wife every single day for the next month, he stepped up to that challenge and was recognizing her, essentially praising her, essentially being grateful for her, and expressing that to her, saying thank you for all the things that she does do. All the things that she does do to maintain the family, to take care of their child, to support him. Because it can get so easy to forget about those things. Whether we agree to this, spit it out, Brian, organization or not, that's not the organization, that's not the word I want to use, the arrangement or not, whether you specifically said, hey, wife, honey, love, dear, I'm going to work and you are going to take care of the kids, whatever agreement you have or not, recognizing her for what she does goes a long way. And oftentimes we can get stuck not doing that because we're in our own world, or we just kind of think, oh, that's what she has to do. Or, okay, you be honest if you've done this. You say, well, she doesn't recognize me. She doesn't give me a pat on the back. She doesn't tell me how grateful she is for me working hard or building something. Look, get that out of your mind now, because again, when we're talking about being the best you as it pertains to the relationship domain, your romantic life, and adopting and really instilling and embodying that elite man mentality around your relationship, you don't wait for your wife to show up and be that man you decide to be. You shower her, you show her the example, what it means to be a loving partner, and she will follow suit, I promise you, sooner or later. Now in this situation, in recognizing, in my client recognizing his wife, he got a win in business. He put up a these wild goats have come back. You hear them? Here, actually, I'm gonna turn the camera so you can see him real quick. I thought the owner got the goats, but I guess not. Okay, so let's to the background. Okay, there we go. So my client, he was celebrating a win at work, and what did he do? He went back and he thanked his wife for his accomplishment at work. She looked at him and said, "What? What do you mean thank you? I didn't do anything." He said, "No, you did. By you taking care of our daughter, by you preparing the meals for us, by you making sure the house is clean and in order, by you taking care of those things that I don't even know you take care of, you allowed me to get that win for us." So what did he do? He made his wife part of the team. He made his wife part of the whole package. And that alone lit up her world, because now that gave her more sense of validity, sense of appreciation. Because again, when we're doing this time and time again, we can easily forget that. And so just think about that for a moment. Just by saying thank you for doing those things that you should be doing, all right, and let's get out of that already, that opens up possibilities and that creates happiness for her. The rest of that is on her. So on that note, before I get off here, yes, David, how you doing? Great to see you again, my man. And Jonathan King out of Spain. Aaron, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a long time in Mississippi. Mike Turner, are you here, or are you back in Sweden? So on that note, I want to leave you with that, guys. I want to leave you with the two things that, that it needs to stick deep in there. You are not responsible for your wife's happiness. Your wife is. Everyone is responsible for their own destiny, their own path. And you are responsible. Check yourself and do a little bit of a self-analysis of how you are showing up in this space. How are you communicating? What is your energy like? What are you, how are you maybe cutting your wife off? When I mean cut her off, cut her energy off. What are you doing to pull the best out of her? Are you recognizing her? Are you dancing with her? Are you engaging in her hobbies even though you're on your mission? That's what it's about. So on that note, fellas, I would love to know exactly what your thoughts are. If anyone out there again is resonates with this situation, if you find it a bit challenging to navigate the space of really dedicating yourself to the business, to your project, to developing yourself in your career, because maybe it's quite intense, and getting that balance, not only with your wife, if it's with kids, or if you're single as well. There's a lot of you single men out there as well are struggling to leave yourself open for the possibility of romance. Give me a call. This is what my specialty is. This is what I love to do. This is what it really fires me up and gets me going, is being able to support, high achieving men who are driven, who are on their path, enjoy the full spectrum of what this experience of life is. It's not all about the professional success. If it were, Donald Trump would be happy. Okay? I'm not going to pick on Trump today. I'm just going to say that that's an example we all know, and that man is not deeply, profoundly happy, in my opinion. Okay? So on that note, again, if you find yourself in that situation, you'd like some support with that, reach out to me, send me a message, we'll get on a call, and we'll iron those out. But until then, my friends, you guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the other side.